All right, now let's dive deeper into our data sets that we've seen so far and look at using some conditionals to select certain rows in this data set. So what I have for you today is we have the party data set where all of you guys filled out a survey and looked at the various different perceptions you have of party sizes. And I have the first 50 few results here in this CSV file. And we're going to write conditionals to get a subset of the observations or a subset of the rows from this data set. So puzzle 1 says that the Merriam-Webster dictionary defines a couple of people to be two or a few. This indicates that many people might perceive the word a couple to be just two people. So we want to select from this data set those who perceive a couple to be two and then more than two. So to do this, we are going to have to write a conditional. And looking at the cheat sheet, we see that the very first subset observation says to extract rows that meet a logical condition is going to be df at df.length. And this is if we're looking at length column. So I'm going to follow the same syntax, but I want to look at a couple column. So here we say df at df dot a couple. And because we're writing a conditional and we want exactly equals, we're going to use double equal sign. And because we are looking at a number, we're going to use no quotes. So we want to know when df, where the column df a couple is double equals to 2. And Carly, if you do this, I'm guessing you're going to get an unexpected result.
Let's see. So it says there's a syntax error. There is some invalid syntax in this code.
Okay, so interesting. So a syntax error means that Python doesn't understand what we're typing, and it needs to have an understanding of exactly what we want it to do. So did we get an indication of where Python got lost?
Yes. So there's a little arrow right at the word couple.
Right at a couple. So basically when it reached a couple, it was completely confused at that point, and it didn't know how to continue reading that line of Python code. And this is because a couple is 2 words long. So we've usually used this dot notation so far where we've said df dot a couple. But there's an alternative notation that we have to use when we have a space. And to do that, we can remove the dot and replace the dot with a square bracket and putting a couple in quotes and then closing out a square bracket. So I would say this is df at a couple is double equal to 2. So this is going to see where everyone in the data set that's currently stored in the variable df, looking at the column a couple is equal to 2. So Carly, if you write this, if you type this up in code, what do you see?
So no more syntax error, and I see I see 21 rows where a couple is 2.
Awesome. So we have 21 different rows. And then so to get that 21 different rows, one thing you can do is you can use the .count function. So in this entire data set at the very end, if you write .count, we're going to count up how many different rows are present in each observation. So if you do .count, I'm going to guess you see how many different people respond to several, a few, many, a couple, and so forth. Is that what you see?
Yep.
Awesome. So let's go look at part B. Select all respondents who perceive a couple of people at the party to mean more than 2 people. So this syntax is going to be almost identical, except for what we're going to see is we want to add a greater than sign because we want to know when their response is larger than 2. So df at a couple, making sure to use the correct capitalization every point, is now greater than 2. And let's see if we can get a bunch of rows there. So I'm expecting if I just have this statement without .count, I should see a number of different rows. What do we see?
A bunch of different rows where a couple there's a bunch of different options now bigger than 2.
Yes. So now the first option, if you look back at the first one, you're going to see the couple column always is going to have the value 2. Mm-hmm. And now we see the values always larger than 2. And let's go ahead and do .count to the very end to get a count of how many observations we have for each person who feels a couple is larger than 2.
And we have 34.
34. So there's now a question. What percentage of people surveyed to perceive a couple to be more than 2 people? So we want to know how many people out of the entire data set perceive a couple to be more than 2 people. So we know 34 people perceive that. And the other thing I need to know is I need to know how many people are in this whole data set. So Carly, we can just do df.count for the entire data set without doing a conditional to find out how many people are in the entire data set.
56.
56. And one of the great bits about Python is we can use it as a calculator as well. So if we just type 36 divided by 56, Python's going to do a little bit of math for us, so we don't have to get out a calculator. We can find out what the percentage is.
64.29%.
64.29%. And Carly, you did a little bit of conversion right there, though.
Yes, I did. Actually, the number it gave me was 0.6429.
Yeah, so in a computer science, we're always going to see that a computer is going to give us a decimal value for a percentage, a number between 0 and 1. And then you can always just move the decimal point over 2 and add the percent sign to turn into a percentage, and you'll see both throughout the series.
Yes.
One last puzzle here, puzzle 2. The term dozens is a plural form of dozen defined as a group of a set of 12. How many respondents perceived dozens of people to be more than 12 people? So now we can simply do one final conditional where we have the data frame df, and now we can say df, and if I look up at the column header, we see dozens is capital D and plural. So because there's no space, I can simply say df dot dozens, and then I want to know more than 12, so greater than 12, ending my square bracket. So this statement should return every single row where there are dozens, where people perceive dozens to be more than 12.
And this is a lot. I can't count it just by myself. So I'm going to add the dot count at the end of it. And there are 50 people.
50 of our 56 respondents feel that dozens they perceive, if there were dozens of people at the party, for there to be more than 12 people. We don't know exactly how many they perceive. We just know it may be 24, it may be 30, but it's more than 12. So it's 13 or greater. So that is one data set of different questions that we can ask about conditionals. So keep nerding out.